Hey everyone, welcome back to Market Mama's channel. Today we're going to introduce Grace Aquino, have another interview with a lady entrepreneur. So Grace and I met back in 2014. We met at an event and we eventually merged our businesses. And I just learned such a great deal from you during that period of my life. And, while we're business partners, I was like, I have to bring you on the show so you could just share your life experiences and everything you've done up to this point.
Yeah, Grace, thank you so much for coming on with us today. Kendra has told me such great things about you and your entrepreneurial pursuits. This will be
Thanks
great.
for having me, guys. I'm very excited. So I've been to prepare for this. I actually watched all of your interviews and learned quite a bit. I even listened to the meditation, the guided meditation.
Aw, thank you. So you have built multiple successful businesses, like over a handful now, which is what Kendra said. So that's a huge accomplishment. I mean, that's amazing. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about what each one taught you about yourself and helped you prepare for the next?
Like everything we do in life, it comes with age, I guess. And the more you do anything, the better you become. And for me in business, it's just as a young entrepreneurs, we all just kind of have this like dollar amount, like, I just want to be a millionaire, I just want to do this. And I guess one of my biggest realization is that I wasn't necessarily after the dollar amount per se, but what I was after is what that dollar represented. So after the first two businesses, it really kind of helped me put things into perspective. Like, what do I really want? Is it the dollars or is it the things that comes with the dollars? So it kind of after that, it kind of just helped me redefine how I approach the business and what business to get into. And so now I'm very protective of my time, because obviously when we get in the business, I really wanted to have a freedom of time. So a lot of the business that I'm going to do now has a lot to do with making sure that I don't work as hard as I did before, in a way that I'm actually putting in time and losing quality time with my family and with my husband. I'm just exchanging my time for the dollar amount. So in terms of what I've learned for business is really maturity and really defining what I wanted to get out of whatever project I'm doing right now.
I love that. And again, I feel like Becky and I are always making correlations to trading. It kind of reminds me of like one of the things that I've told her is like, we have to make this serve us. Like, our trading needs to serve us, not us serving it. So it sounds like with that maturity in business, you just learned that you want your businesses to serve you. So you can live your best life, right?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure you remember how hard we worked. We were delirious at some time because we'll just work throughout the night and bake and just laugh because we can't do anything else but bake and things. And as fun as those
a job. Yeah.
Yes. And especially at that time, I was such a young entrepreneur. It was all about, do whatever it takes, which is true. It's a great approach, like do whatever it takes. But I think in a way I was kind of lost because I was really kind of just it's different for you guys because it's trading. It's really dollar based. But for me, I was just really just the imaginary lifestyle of what a millionaire would look like. I was really lost at that time, and now I'm kind of like, okay, any businesses I create, it has to actually serve me and serve what the lifestyle that I currently have.
That's really great advice. So in one of your blogs, Sweet Savory Life, you stated, I'm happiest when I'm creating something, anything. Ideas excite me. Tell us more about that. I love that because
my
I love
gosh,
to
yes. Oh my God. Okay, so the story is in a true Asian fashion. Having grown up in the Philippines, creativity isn't really rewarded, right? So it's like, and it's true to a lot of Asian cultures. You're taught to be obedient, to follow rules, whatever. So you wouldn't know that in college I actually majored accounting. But in reality, I have no business being an accountant. Like, what the heck was I doing in accounting? But I followed it because my dad told me so. So I kind of grew up in it. My mom had PhD, like she's like in a very academic family. They didn't put pressure on me, but I never once believed I was a creative person, ever. And the biggest realization I had in my life was in my 30s, early 30s, was when I realized after we launched the bakery is how creative I was. Not necessarily artistic, but creative. And I love it and I thrive. And so it was when I realized that, okay, so once I embraced my creativity is when I actually started gaining, I guess, success financially and just, feeling the joy. In my early 20s, you wouldn't believe this, but I couldn't last a single job for a year. So I bounced like, I just, I have to thank my spirit for it because it was relentless in a way that my spirit was looking for something, right? Like, okay, I thought this was a career. Then I was like, no. Okay, let's go for another career. No. And there's just that like hole, there's just that I'm not happy. I'm not happy with this. Should I continue on? Whatever. And so late in my 20s, I was like, dang, either I didn't develop the work ethic or something is really wrong with me in my life. Because why couldn't I'm in my mid 20s at that time. I was like, why can't I last a job? That's not normal, right? People can at least last 4 or 5 years in a job, but I can't. Maybe if I lasted 2 years in a job, it was a stretch. I kind of liked the job. And so I was like, okay, when I started getting in business, I realized just how much out of the box thinking is needed to be an entrepreneur. And that's when I realized, okay, I actually really like this. I'm creative. And now um, I love building businesses because it's creative. And that's when I thrive the most. When I'm creating, it's just makes me happy. And when I'm feeling in a slump or just kind of like, oh, I'm down or, feeling lazy, I just need to create something. Something, I don't know, whatever. It drives me, it excites me. So yes, I added that on my blog. And I think the reason why I created the blog too was at that time it was a creative platform for me. Because I was kind of like in between being entrepreneur, which business to go next. And the blog was just an avenue. And now the business that I'm in, it's highly creative. So so it's different every day. That's what I like about it.
Nice. So I am wondering your opinion. So the word entrepreneur gets tossed around quite a bit. How, in your own words, would you describe what being an entrepreneur is?
Well, I actually Googled that earlier. But in essence, Google would just basically say if you kind of start or manage your own business, then you're an entrepreneur. But obviously, it's way more than that, right? Not everybody can be an entrepreneur. We all, I mean, maybe a lot of us would want to be an entrepreneur, but not everybody survives being an entrepreneur for a very long time. And for me, you have to have a specific amount of grit and tenacity and um, you know to be successful at anything. I think you have to kind of stack up on failures too. And a true entrepreneur that really lasts and just kept on the race is the ones that just kept going regardless of defeat, regardless of how you feel and how much losses you've incurred. You really have to want it almost. And one of my friend even said like, I forget her term, masochist. She said, why do you love the fear of losing or the idea of maybe losing your investment? How is this? Like, I don't know. That's what being an entrepreneur is. You just have to have that. If you don't have it, then it's okay not to be entrepreneur. It's okay to just live the life that you want. But the bigger rewards are for those who actually also take risk. And for me, entrepreneurs, the ones that takes big risks and just kind of have the grit for it. You just keep doing it over and over, regardless of how much losses, how much failure you've endured. You just keep doing it.
Yeah. I mean, literally, Becky, as she's describing that, is it not what we live every day with trading?
Yes.
Like, you just like nail in the head. You have to be a self-starter. You have to embrace the uncertainty. You have to be able to get knocked down and get back up and just keep that tunnel vision, So
And I watched your episode with I forgot her name, but your trainer, the fitness, your fitness trainer.
Amy, yeah.
Yes, and I really like it when she said that discipline is not a punishment. And in fact, that was an epiphany for me, because our normal is to kind of think of discipline as a negative thing. But, discipline as an entrepreneur, you just have to discipline yourself. At some point, you have to kind of enjoy that sense of discipline, and it's not a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing.
Yeah, you have to embrace that. Like, I do these things and it sets me apart because I'm going to do the things that I'm going to do so I can live the life and, have the things that other people aren't going to have. And there's nothing wrong with other people not doing them, but this is what I do. So I agree that discipline, it is empowering, and it does give you a freedom to live outside of, everyone else's boxes.
That's right.
Okay. So your e-commerce business, which I believe is one of your most recent businesses, is extremely successful. Can you tell us what it was like building and expanding that?
I freaking love it. I'm so in love with it so far. I'm so in love with it. Well, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with print on demand. So basically, the idea of that is there's a bunch of companies that has these products, and you create the design, and you put it up on your website or on platforms like Amazon or eBay or Etsy, and once somebody buys it, they only print it when they receive the order. So I fell to e-commerce, like I think a lot of us, in the pandemic. Actually, before the pandemic, I was already kind of playing with that because, as I mentioned earlier, I know what I want in life now, right? I want to know that the business that I want has to serve my time. So naturally, I didn't want a business that kind of like a brick and mortar business again, because I wanted to be able to travel and be able to just operate a business in my laptop everywhere in the world. And so obviously I searched Google, and then there's a lot of ways I'm finding out a lot of ways to make money online. And I decided, okay, let's try print on demand business. In the beginning, it was kind of like where we were van lifing. It was like a hobby business, but it earned us a good amount. It allowed us in a way to kind of van life, right? But after moving here in the Philippines, I was like, oh, why don't I actually really focus on this business? Like, if I used to spend like 14 hours a day in the bakery, why don't I invest that same time just building this hobby business? So I did for 2 months, maybe about 2.5 months. I spent like 14, 16 hours a day, just like really learning the rope of the business. And that's when I really fell in love with it. And it's just a matter of maybe 6 months, I was able to grow our business to a top 1% on Etsy worldwide. And that's like maybe about 4 to 5 million sellers. And it's just been so great. So it's been, it's been 3 years since I launched the business, and now we're up 4 shops and different platforms. Yeah, and there's a lot of things I like about it, and there's a lot of things that it's so easy when you go on YouTube. There's a lot of tutorial on how to start print on demand. What I really like about it is that as a creative, it's really just an idea. So like if there's an idea of a product that you have, let's just say a specific design of a blanket, right? That product doesn't exist. So it's an idea, and I create it. And I create it and present it to potential customers. And that idea only becomes a product when somebody buys it. And I love that process because it's just uh, what I sell online is just a picture of what a product could look like. If somebody buys it, then the product becomes a reality. So I've been loving this process. We hired our graphic designer now. We it's still a team of 3, just me, Marlon, and I. But the upside of it, the income for just a 3 people company is a lot more than what a mom and pop type of business is. And I like that it's a reverse engineered business. So you know how in typically, like say we have a skill set, like say a baking, you have a skill set, and then you create a shop, and then you create ads and marketing and hopefully attract customers, right? Whereas on e-commerce or print on demand is I start by studying trends and I start by studying what people are buying these days. And once I find that niche that I think doesn't have a lot of competition but has a lot of buyer, I recreate the product for it. So it's reverse engineered in a way that you already have customers in mind, very specific customers of, like what they want, what they're looking for. And then you create an idea of a product that you think they'll like, and then they buy it. So I freaking love it.
Cool.
I mean, just the way you described it, I mean, you don't have to have a lease on a building, you don't have to have your bills, to operate that building, the staff to run that building, inventory to,
Yes.
I mean, it's literally, like you said, it's completely reverse engineered and it's amazing. And I'm so happy that you got into that and you're sharing that opportunity here on Market Mamas because we're all about spreading awareness of accessibility and just different things, we can do, as women, as men, just thinking outside the box. And
Yes.
great job, building that up. And thank you for sharing that with us because that's a big deal. And that's pretty awesome. Like this world we live in, right? This technology, this, having, creating something in your mind and then being able to, sell it to a company essentially. And then it's like, and then your job's pretty much done. You just get paid, right?
Yeah. And
that's incredible.
The good thing about it too is ROI I was like, how do I calculate my ROI? I was like, actually, really, it's infinite because I don't invest anything except for the time that I took to build it. But say when I receive an order from a customer, I use their money to purchase their product and then I just pocket the difference. So in essence, unlike a lot of businesses, you actually invest money and potentially lose it. But for me, I didn't invest anything. I literally started this with just $100 to start a shop. And every time I start a shop, you don't invest anything. I mean, invest in, let's just say, a Shopify, you pay like the $29 or $39 a month. That's what you invest. But what you really you have to invest is just the time to think of research what people are buying, and that's what I love about it. And so usually what I do is I research what people are buying, then I have my graphic designer design it. We just put the product, hoping people will buy it, and most of the time they do because we already created it with specific audience in mind.
You're explaining this to us and it reminds me exactly of our trading because like the way that you're talking about it and how it speaks to your mind and how you love it and how you've run with it and how you've invested so many times to so many hours to get it going and figure out how to reverse engineer it and how to make it work and how to connect the buyers and the sellers. Like that's how we talk about our trading to people who don't get it. We're like, someone asks and you get a little in and you just like, blah, 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 blah. I love it because of this and this, and this is how I started it. And it's like, that's the passion behind what drives you to figure out how to do something. It speaks to me about like just creating something that not everyone would do. And you have to love it and be interested and want to keep pushing it and figuring it out and fine tuning it. It's like, it's similar for sure.
And the most exciting thing is it's limitless.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have a defined risk, just like with trading, we have a defined risk as long as we follow our, rules. But with you're doing, it's very much, like Becky was saying, it's incredible. It's an investment of time. But you get to own it, it's yours and you get to run free with the creativity, it's like an art.
Yeah.
What's so interesting is I actually, because scalability is really high. I mean, you can scale it as much as you want. You just need to invest time, not even money. Just invest a little bit of time. But recently, I've been kind of feeling guilty because the business runs on its own, right? So I probably spend an hour a day just making sure things are doing, in their proper place. And then I've been feeling so guilty lately, like, man, I should spend more time. I should spend more time because I think in a way, we're so used to thinking of equating our productivity by the hours. So, like say when we're working for other people, it's like, I used to get paid per hour. So I have this mindset of the more hours I spend, the more money I get. But I shouldn't be feeling guilty because it's really not the hours, but the productivity. And somehow in the past 2 years, I was able to kind of maximize the productivity maximum without me working so much and the business is working for me. But it's just so interesting to still kind of feel that guilt. Like, why do I feel so guilty? Isn't this the reason why I started this business so I can spend time with my family more?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a different world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being able to, like, the ultimate freedom, right, is your time. And
Yeah.
so it's so interesting, Grace, that you bring that up, because it's literally a couple days ago, we interviewed a very successful futures trader. And that's literally one of the things he said was that mind shift of being able to accept that, okay, I only traded for like 15 minutes this morning, and my P&L does not reflect 15 minutes of work, but
Yeah.
I'm done. And like, that's crazy. Like being able to make that transition. Like, I mean, that's goals. So I'm so happy that you are there in your business, that you're like, hey, like I've already put in the work and it's working for me, and now I get to have more time.
Yeah. And so it's just fascinating because like I thought, okay, I want all this time. And then once I have that time, I literally don't know what to do with myself. So since we moved here, in the Philippines, it's been 2 years. It's gonna be actually, yeah, next month it'll be 2 years. And we've really just been so blessed to like not spend outside of that 2-3 month that I spent to like learn the business. We're so blessed to just have the freedom of time. But then I was like, I'm a menace when like I'm the worst version of myself when I have time. so so now we're like, okay, let's look into getting another business. It's
Next.
crazy.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
but
curious. There's something you have enjoyed some freedom of coloring outside the lines in your own lifestyle. Is there something about a van life adventures and explorations that you've done? I'm curious about that.
oh my gosh, it was a dream. It was a dream come true. It was as a kid, I like the idea of just kind of, exploring and traveling. I love hiking. I love the outdoors. I love camping, all that stuff. And in 2017 was when we actually first moved here in the Philippines. But when we moved here, I felt so lost. Like I didn't know, maybe this was a wrong decision. I didn't know what business to start. And so we went back to the US and we're like, now what? What are we going to do? Either we start another business or we do something else. And we're like, oh, why don't we, do the van life thing, which has been kind of, before that, I've been kind of playing around with the idea of nomadic living. And it took a while to convince my husband, but he was so nice. He was so kind to kind of make that happen for me. So we bought a cargo van, and at first we just spent like what I said earlier. Like that. The idea of $1 million is not really the $1 million, but what it represented. So a lot of van lifers, the idea of, oh, van life, and then let's build it in like these things in the van, and they end up spending a lot of money. Sometimes you don't really need those things, right? So we built our van for just $1,000. In fact, I wrote a whole blog about it, and it's all IKEA stuff. We just filled with IKEA. As long as we're good, we have a bed, we have some kitchen, we have like portable toilet, all that. I wrote a blog about it, and it actually went viral. It was featured on Discovery Channel and Lonely Planet and all these things. And so we just traveled for 2.5 years. And one of the lessons I've learned when we first moved here in the Philippines was like, I was so sad because I immigrated in the United States in 2004, and I felt like I haven't really seen the country, much of it. Like I've been to Florida and maybe I've been to like, Vegas and stuff, but the majority of it, I'm moving out of the country, but I haven't seen the most of the US. It's such a beautiful country. And so that's when one of our decisions to actually start van lifing. And we traveled the whole 48 states in 2.5 years. And I love that in the morning you wake up and you don't know where you are sometimes. You're like, it's like different city almost every morning. Not really, but it's like waking up to something new every morning. And our problems were like, oh, what are we doing today? Where are we going today? And I love that everything was so simple because before van lifing, we had already sold everything, so we had nothing. Really, we were thinking of, hey, let's just start another business in the U.S. and get an apartment, just to kind of get started again. But since we van life, we had nothing, and that was the idea of living minimally came about. And I love how simple life was. Like everything is so simplified. We have like this maybe like 6 inch, maybe no, maybe like 1 feet by 1 foot, like cubby for our clothes, and that's all we own. And we just have to keep doing laundry once a week, and that's all we owned. And we didn't have much, but in terms of things, but it was very clear how happy we were, and it was very clear. It helped us put a lot of things in perspective as far as what's really important in life and what really is not. And so anyway, van life was a gift. And now actually I have to mention this because I started reading the book again. The one thing that kind of really helped us get to where we are is the book 4 Hour Work Week. Have you guys heard of that?
Mm-mm.
It's by Tim Ferriss, and the idea of the book is not waiting for, he called it deferred retirement, like waiting until you're in your 60s to retire and enjoy life. It's also not about retiring really young in your 30s or 40s, but it's more like mini retirements. So his idea is like enjoy all this like spurts of extended retirement, like extended period of just doing what you really wanted to do in life in between of the productive things that you're doing. So I think that we've really kind of followed that lifestyle in a way that we had the series of businesses, and I worked for a bakery, and we had the bakery, and then after that we did van life, and then after that we're here in the Philippines, and I built the online businesses, and now we're planning on traveling again full term, also still van life, in a different continent. So I really like that idea, and I think van life is kind of a part of a childhood dream and the idea of mini retirement. Why wait to do all these things? And you don't have to stop your life too. Like it's so common to see on TikTok say, "Oh, I retired at 40." It's great, but we're still so young to not be doing anything. So I think, and that's me because like for 2 years I feel like, oh, we didn't do anything. We just spent time, but then now it's driving me crazy because I need to do something. We can't. I
Yeah.
mean, we spend time with family, but we need to do more than that.
Yeah. Yeah. When you have that entrepreneurial spirit, that creative spirit, you don't want to not do anything. You want to do all the things that you love and that that drive you, that fulfill you, but you also want to be productive at something. You want to be building something, creating something. So that's incredible. And the van life, the van life gave everyone life. Like everyone who was following, your vlog and your Instagram, like every morning a new sunset, every night a new sunrise, sunset. It was so incredible and inspiring, and the whole embracing the minimalistic lifestyle. It's hard because, a lot of us have certain life circumstances, but I wish like we could all experience that in life, because it sounds friggin' incredible.
It really was a gift. I always look at it with such fondness, I guess you can say. And it's so funny because, when you live, it's like, at some point, new places stop becoming special, right? Because like you're always visiting somewhere new every day. So it sucks that at some point the sense of adventure is not exciting anymore. So obviously you have to stop that. But now looking back again, it was such a gift.
I love that. So last but not least, what is your advice that you would give and tips for other women who also have a desire, to be the creators and designers of their own sweet, savory life?
That's a hard question. You just go for it. I guess you just go for it and think outside the box. You don't have to follow rules. Rules are arbitrary. Obviously, not the legal rules. We have to follow the legal rules, but reality is negotiable for the most part. For the most part, reality is what you make it as. So a lot of women who are struggling, and I'm, we have, obviously we don't have kids and we're not blessed with kids. So we have a different reality. But I've learned that a lot of what people thought, oh, hey, that's the reality. Oh, hey, that's just such is life. A lot of that is negotiable. And sometimes we don't even ask, or sometimes we don't even challenge it. Like for me in my 20s, I'm like, I wasn't really creative. So I never questioned it. But deep down, I felt that something was terribly wrong. So I think for a lot of women, it's okay to redefine your reality, and it's okay to dream beyond what society is telling us is normal. Um, if it might not be real right now, and there we have a lot of, there's a lot of things that happens in life, but I think it all starts with just challenging your mindset. Because really, once you start challenging your mindset, a lot of the result will follow if you start believing in other things. So that would be my big advice.
Really
I love
good
that.
advice.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's really good advice. I'm all about, the unconditioning of women and just being able to push past, those limiting beliefs and all the things that are pushed on us. And,
Yes.
so you are just a great testimony to that and just so inspiring. You've always been an inspiration of mine. So thank you for coming on our channel and blessing us, with all your life experience and just all the amazing things that you've done and are continuing to do. And we would love to have you back. You could share some more with all the other things I know you're going to do. I mean, we're so young, right? I'm
Yes.
we're just going to keep doing more and more and more.
You wouldn't
Yes.
believe that I'm actually gearing up to launch a nail salon. Of all things. I don't believe it, but right here. And I'm also gearing up to launch a chocolate business soon. So I'm starting to get busy again, but this time I'm very specific on how to be busy. Like, I don't want to be busy just to be busy, but it has to be something enjoyable.
Right.
And
Right.
thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you for making the time for us in your busy life. It's so vast and awesome. Like, I love that you are challenging the limiting beliefs that we could stay in the box that we were told to go to college, get a degree, do that for 40 years, and then retire on a pension that's just enough to buy groceries. Or you could be like, I want more and I'm willing to work for it and think and create and pivot and push it and find what I love and break the barriers, because we actually are capable of that. There's nothing that says that we can't be amazing and strive for all the things that are possible. So I really, really enjoyed our conversation today, because I think that you embody that of like fulfilling your heart's wishes and pushing through and figuring it out and pushing higher even after that. So it's amazing. You're inspirational, Grace. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I can't wait to get out there and visit you in Marlin in the Philippines and, live my best life with you too. You're my favorite.
Yes.
Okay. Well, take care, everyone. Thanks for joining Market Mamas. And we'll be back with another episode soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.